ESPN, the Wisconsin On Demand app, and streaming live at ESPN Milwaukee on YouTube.
We them boys. Holla, we them boys. Holla, holla, holla. We making noise. Holla. Holla, 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 holla. Holla, we them boys. Holla, we them boys. Holla, holla, holla. We making noise. Holla.
Marquette Hall of Famer Tony Smith here. You're listening to the home of Marquette basketball. 94.5 ESPN is WKTI and WKTI HD Milwaukee.
What? It's not University Ave.
Well, I got to figure out. Joseph's saying there's no audio, and I'm having minimal interaction with Chris Larson producing the show as he's working
Doing
a radio
else.
post-game show. So you tell your story.
Well, I mean, if there's no audio, I'm telling the story to no one. So, I love hearing myself talk and love hearing my voice. But if there's no audio coming, I'm going to sit here. Can you hear us?
Can you hear us, LOL?
Oh, this is funny. KBN Nation, I appreciate you. You may not be able to know I appreciate you. I'm going to tell you this now.
if you're a lip reader, you'll be like,
now we got it now.
Hey,
All right.
we got it now. Hey.
Yeah, man.
You guys just missed Kyle's wildest story
no,
ever.
man. I just remember we had the rumble in the jungle inside of La Cial, man. It was one of
What's the rumble in the jungle?
It was one of the most memorable nights, man. It was 2009, I want to say. Yeah, it had to be 2009, 2010. Halloween. If you're listening, you remember this story because you were somebody that was a victim. I apologize. I'm a better man. But I never forget, man, our homeboy came downstairs. We had La Cial. They had a party up there on, like, the top floor. Good time, man. Shout out to my boy Jeff Zoltan. They had a nice little party there. We kicking it. We having a good time, celebrating Halloween. Then we decided, you know what? It's time to go. We finna go downstairs. It's been a late night. We finna, slow down the night. So, like, 15 minutes later, our boy Ziggy come downstairs talking, hey, guys, I'm be real with Ziggy's a white guy. And he came
why'd
out,
you have to call him out?
It makes sense. So Ziggy was upstairs, small guy.
How did he get that name as a white guy?
His last name's Zigman, so we call him Ziggy.
So you guys made him sound
cooler.
No. Or did he always go by Ziggy?
He went by Ziggy. That's what he went by was Ziggy. And so Ziggy, he had his black friends that came into town. We left the party. We go downstairs. It's like 6, 7 of us. And so Ziggy, when your friends is around, you get a little bit more bold, right? You talk a little more trash. And so we had gone. Now, I don't know if Ziggy knew we dipped out, but we in his apartment. And Ziggy, he comes downstairs. He says, hey, man. We said, what's up, Ziggy? What's good? He said, hey, man, there was these guys upstairs messing with me, man. And I told him, you keep messing with them and get my boys. Because, again, his boys is in town. So he gets his 6, 7 black friends to come upstairs. He's like, Ziggy, say no more. So we go upstairs, and I never forget, man. I feel bad.
Did you walk into a trap?
No, we didn't walk to a trap. We walked into whoop some ass. And so my boy.
What?
Oh, listen.
You went fisticuffs?
Oh, listen. It was a brawl. I never forget my boy E. He's crazy, real crazy. Got mental health issues. Did we win? It was a massacre. And so my boy E, they're like, hey, Ziggy said, there they are. Them the dudes that was talking to us. They was talking crazy. Yeah, my boys is here. And so they're like, man, no, that wasn't it. It wasn't it.
Oh, so you jumped them even though
wait a minute.
They played.
They said that wasn't it. Oh, no, it wasn't this. They kind of tried to back down. But there was one dude that was barking. And my crazy boy E, he crazy. I'm telling you, mental health, crazy. I mean, he crazy.
Okay, you've mentioned that.
He's crazy. And I never forget, Ben, man, it's at the La Cial. He said, my boy Troney, he said, hey, E, chill, man. They not trying to fight. He says he's not trying to fight pointing at one guy. He's not trying to fight pointing at another guy, but he is and swung off. And when I say mayhem all ensued after that, it was an absolute brawl. And the funny thing about it, I brought my boy, he embarrassed me. So my boy from the only white kid that wasn't part of our group, he was from Whitewater. I brought my boy Hans up. Shout out to Hans. I brought my boy Hans. I brought my boy
you
Hans.
You had Ziggy and Hans?
Ziggy and Hans. I brought my boy Hans up for Whitewater. We played ball together there. And while we sitting there knocking people down, Hans is over there being an emergency guy, EMS type guy. He's sitting there trying to help him. We'll be like, Hans, man, leave him the hell alone. You with us. And so he drop him, and we like, come on, man. It was a massacre. Good times, though.
So you come on here to say I love Madison, and your good memory is telling a story about a brawl.
How we threw man, listen, to this day, this happened 15-plus years ago. Me and my boys still laugh about the time that we whooped some ass in Madison. Whooped some ass protecting Ziggy. And then the funniest part is the next day, the dude who lived at the apartment, he was upstairs too. He lived with our guy. He came downstairs like, hey, man, because, again, they kind of all know each other. Hey, man, you guys know what happened last night? Some guys came upstairs and a fight happened. We're like, nah, man.
No, we don't know what you're talking about.
We don't know what happened. He said, oh, man, yeah. Like, he knew what happened. He knew it was us. So it was good times, man.
What a great time to be in Madison right now. The buzz is going to become palpable as it pertains to the Wisconsin Badgers. It's only they didn't have the greatest seed, so they had to play on a Thursday, which means the quarters are Friday.
Because of their fault.
Yeah, their fault. Losing 3 of the last 5 games.
Penn State dropping the game to Penn State, dropping the game to Washington.
Forgot Oregon.
Yeah. So I mean those.
And then Michigan State obviously was no bueno. That's not a bad loss, but you can't lose the double-digit first-half lead at home against Oregon.
But then losing to Penn State on senior night.
Yeah, that one's tough. I was so tired when that game was going on. I was the solo dad, and I had to hire the babysitter the next day.
How was solo
it was fine. It was fine. It was more so just like I was tired, and you nap when the baby naps. You're going to learn that. You nap when the baby naps. If you're tired and you're like, oh, man, I'll make it through. If you don't nap, you're like, man, I should have napped.
Yeah.
So that's my advice. I know your Father Kyle is far away from being father.
Don't say that.
Well,
now.
I don't know. I'm going to say like you're at least 9 months.
Listen, I'm ready to try when she is.
You hear that, baby girl?
Ready to try when she is.
Did you hear that, baby girl? In about
I thought I wanted to do the Ben Brust
just an
route.
FYI, we're about 2 minutes away from being
going
FCC
live.
regulated.
Yeah.
So start switching your mind to
I
not talking to YouTube, but talking to YouTube and FCC people on the radio.
I have legitimately told my baby girl I want to go to Ben Brust route. She said, "No, you got to put a ring on it fast."
Here's
I said,
what I'll
Ben
say.
seemed happy.
He totally. But what I'll say is, planning a wedding is like a nuisance when you have a kid.
Oh, I bet.
It's horrible. We're less than 6 months away from the wedding.
Oh, wow.
And we haven't even sent the
TikTok.
save the dates out.
Oh, yeah.
You're supposed to send those 6 to 9 months,
Yeah,
and
I
we're
got
at
it,
5.5 months. Actually, we're at 5 months on the 22nd.
Damn.
And we haven't even sent the save the dates out.
What's the whole? I mean, I guess you can go into it a little bit more at some point, but that seems like there's a little.
Yeah,
bit
what I'll
more.
do is I'll tell that story when we go live, because Jason Wilde's going to join us at around 4:30, and then we are going to have the Homer Hour from 5 to 6 on 94.5 ESPN. You know what? Forget it. I'll say it. So I put out all the names of everyone on the list one by one on a spreadsheet.
Oh, okay.
And then
Smart,
once I
organized.
did that, we had to put them all into a website to export it into a way that you could print it. And so it has names, first, last, and then formal addressing.
Oh, that sounds exhausting.
Exhausting. And so I had to look through every single formal addressing, and every time I changed it, we were changing it on a different document
Wait a
because we
minute.
weren't sharing the document. So we printed out these save the dates,
Yeah.
and I got my family's names wrong.
Oh, well, what do you mean you got your
Cousins that were married to like a male and changed their last name. One of them is Blackburn is the last name.
But now it's still
It was Black Bum.
Oh.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Wow.
I didn't even think about
I
that.
said, what black blum you like?
One of them is Fornarelli.
Oh, wow, that's a name.
Famarelli.
Oh,
That's
my
how
God.
it printed on like the actual
That's
envelopes.
so embarrassing. I guess for me is.
But no, I hand wrote those, but that looks horrible.
Do you have a?
We spent all this money on these stupid printing things, and it's such a scam. It is a scam.
Wait.
You spend money to print on the save the date and the envelope. You know what you do when you get the envelope?
Take it.
You rip it and you throw it in the trash.
I will say this: when I get an envelope, I do look at it and say, "Oh, this is very nice."
And so
And then,
here's another
I
mess
throw it
up.
away eventually.
Here's another
Uh-oh.
mess up.
You did multiple mess ups,
So how would you address a married couple?
Mr. and Mrs. Benjamin, Ben, and Ben's fiance Brust.
So that's the thing is I'll use Josh Gosser as an example.
Mr. and Mrs. Josh Gosser.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
But apparently
that was
I know.
women have rights now, Ben.
Yeah, I know.
So it's changed.
I know, and I was like, but like, some people are traditional, some people aren't, and so now the traditional people are gonna be like, why isn't it Mr. and Mrs. Joshua Gosser?
Nah.
It says, and I didn't even do full names. It says Mr. Josh and Mrs. Alex Gosser. Every single person. I don't have Dan Fahey. Daniel Fahey is his name. It says Mr. Dan and his wife's name and Mrs. Wife Fahey.
Oh my gosh.
It's a disaster.
This is pretty bad. Luckily, nobody's concerned about this, and they're more concerned about your big day. Because
That's what I'm saying.
What did you put on mine? Just Kyle and Mrs. Kyle, baby girl.
So the only special one that I did
Uh-huh.
is Frank Kaminsky's dad. So Frank Kaminsky, National Player of the Year, played for the Wisconsin
Congratulations
Badgers.
to Frank as
Yes,
well.
it's now public on Instagram from his wife that he's having a baby. He's playing the whole bachelor party. We'll get to that with Greg Scalzo tomorrow. Best man did nothing, but Frank Kaminsky is Francis Stanley Kaminsky III.
Oh wow.
His dad is Francis Stanley Kaminsky II.
Oh, wow.
But
Francis is
he goes by Big Frank.
Yeah,
Like Frank's dad
It's
goes.
Big Frank.
He's also big, but he's
Big
the
Frank.
OG. He is Big Frank.
Yeah, Big Frank.
So I put Mr. Big Frank Kaminsky.
Oh, that's nice.
But like the rest of them say Mr. Josh Gosser and Mrs. Alex Gosser, not Mr. and Mrs. Joshua Gosser, because apparently we're in the business now of not offending everybody.
Yeah, no, listen, let me tell you something. It's inclusion. Mr. and Mrs., both their names, they're a team. Because I remember growing up where you were told, hey, it's Mr., like my parents, Mr. and Mrs., whatever my dad's first name is, last name was.
Why? So I've always wondered, why don't you say your dad's name on there?
I don't say any of my family's name.
I
don't say baby girl's name on there.
Why is that? Because
I like having some,
you know how easy it is to find this stuff?
It's pretty simple.
It's really simple. So I don't know why we hide from names. I don't even know how I hide my baby's name. I have a public Facebook.
I felt so
that I'm
bad.
friends with people that listen to the show. Clearly, I see their mutual friends. Like, oh, it's Homer. It's this person. It's this person. Like, oh, they listen to the show. So clearly, they just go to my page and they can see my baby's name. So why do I not say my baby's name on the air?
Well, it's hard. As Strofe has told you, it is. I am hard to find. I am definitely hard to find. And when I said your baby's name on air on accident, I felt so bad.
Oh, don't worry about it. Because like I said, it's everywhere. It's on my public Instagram now. So I might as well just drop this.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, her name is Isla, and Kyle thought it was Isla.
I still call her Isla to this day.
And they're playing the closing billboard on 94.5 ESPN.
All
Congratulations to the Marquette Golden Eagles. We're going to go to break here, and then when we come back, we will be with Jason Wilde on the other side.
414-hour-4 with Jason Wilde.
He's going to like that.
Yeah, he is.
Hey, Chris,
boy.
Chris, if you can hear us, hit us with the 414-hour open for Jason Wilde. And then if you want – you know what? We're not going to play his open. We're going to play our open for us joining 94.5 ESPN.
Yes, we are.
That's next. Don't go anywhere.
Chips in Oak Creek and Greenfield. Get huge discounts on the Buick Envista and Envision SUVs or the rugged GMC Terrain and Sierra. Thinking pre-owned? Visit our website for a slam dunk deal on one of our 10 pre-owned super specials. Plus, our service specials on brakes, tires, and oil changes are nothing but net.
I'm Brian Bohm, General Manager of Kunis of Oak Creek.
And I'm Bill Eater, General Manager of Kunis of Greenfield.
We would like to invite you to take advantage of these great monthly specials.
And remember that your vehicle will be covered by our exclusive No Fear lifetime powertrain warranty included with new and qualified pre-owned purchases.
Call or stop in today for your VIP appointment.
Embrace March Mania and score a deal this month at Kunis. Start your search online at KunisBuickGMC.com.
An ESPN Radio Extra Point with Evan Cohen, Chris Canty, and Michelle Smallman.
Here's the thing that we've always talked about with the Cleveland Browns and with this core, especially the guys on the defensive side of the ball. If they could get just average quarterback play,
I think he can give them that.
Then this team has a chance to be a playoff contender. We saw it a couple of years ago with Joe Flacco. They got average quarterback play for a month and a half and found themselves in the playoffs. Russell Wilson can give you average quarterback play. Now, the problem in Denver is that he was making $1 gazillion a year, and average ain't gonna cut it. But if Russell Wilson is the same exact quarterback that you got last year in Pittsburgh, considering the weapons that he would potentially have to work with in Cleveland this year versus what he had last year in Pittsburgh, then I think there's a world where the brass for the Cleveland Browns could entertain the possibility of them being a playoff team. And that's why if you're Cleveland, the goal should be not to let Russell Wilson leave the building.
Robinhood Gold members can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on annual retirement contributions. With Robinhood Gold, the perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive a 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Robinhood Financial LLC member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC.
Something amazing is happening in data management. Even though storage needs are constantly changing, companies are only paying for what they need now. That's because CDW customized a Pure Storage Evergreen One SLA-driven storage as a service solution that delivers enterprise-grade hybrid cloud storage that is effortless, efficient, and evergreen. Simplify storage administration with Pure Storage and CDW. Make amazing happen. Find out more at cdw.com/purestorage.
Whether you're about to graduate high school or have been in the workforce for years, it's time to take control of your future. Welcome to Lakeland University, where you call the shots. We use our flexible learning formats to customize your degree path. In person, online, and virtual classes are all available. Lakeland University is designed around you, your goals, your schedule, your future. You can even earn up to 25% of your degree via paid work experiences. Ready to take control of your future? Let us customize an education to fit your needs. Visit lakeland.edu/ESPN to learn more.
Hey, it's ESPN Milwaukee's Brad Nortman here with some great news from my friends at Bank 59. For a limited time, you can earn as much as 4.8% on one of their CD specials. With 9, 17, and 25-month options, you're sure to find a CD that fits your needs while you earn a great return. It's simply another way Bank 59 is making lives better in our communities. Hurry, these high rates won't last long. Check out bank59.com/CD for more details. Member FDIC.
How would you like to own a jewelry store?
Kessler's Diamonds is an employee-owned company.
And Kessler's is growing. Are you the kind of person we're looking for?
Does it make you happy to make other people happy?
Are you a problem solver?
Would you like to wake up every morning knowing that you're going to help a lot of people find joy today?
Kessler's Diamonds is people serving people.
Keep in mind that Kessler's is owned by its employees. So let me ask you this. Are you a good enough leader that you can be an owner who leads other owners?
Don't worry, you don't have to know about diamonds. We can teach you about diamonds. But the people we're looking for aren't looking for a job.
Did someone pop into your head just now?
Do you think you might know who we're looking for?
Give that person a call.
Send them an email.
Tell them to walk into Kessler's Diamonds and say to the person who greets them,
I think I want to work here.
Welcome to Kessler's.
A fantastic place to buy jewelry and a wonderful place to work.
For the store nearest you, visit KesslersDiamonds.com.
This is Kyle, Brust, and Nortman, KBN, on ESPN Wisconsin and WisconsinOnDemand.com. Broadcasting live from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All studio at the Avenue in downtown Milwaukee. This is Kyle, Brust, and Nortman, KBN on 94.5 ESPN, the Wisconsin On Demand app, and streaming live at ESPN Milwaukee on YouTube.
We them boys. We them boys.
It's the 414 hour at 4 live from the 608 on KBN.
He is Kyle Wallace. I am Ben Brust. No Brad Nortman. UKBN Nation at 800-990-3776. That's the Carveless Socket text line. List is more. You can see us on YouTube at ESPN Milwaukee, and we are excited to be joined right off the rip. What'd you think of the 414 hour at 4, Mr. Jason Wilde?
I didn't even understand what Kyle was saying, so I appreciate you translating.
It is the 414 hour at 4 on KBN.
Yeah, the music was kind of loud, so now I understand it better because I'm old enough to remember a guy named Moses Malone predicting that the Sixers would win the NBA Finals, and he was asked how they're going to do it, and he said, faux, meaning they're going to win 4 games in each of those series. Sweeps, indeed.
I like that.
I didn't understand it either, Jason, so I'm glad that you translated that for me as well.
Jason, really quickly, you being a 414 boy yourself, you didn't feel a little juice, energy?
Well, considering I slept through your call at 3:15, I'm still working to get my energy back. So I got home. You know, we did the show today from Potawatomi Sportsbook, which was great, and I'm guessing Tausch and his buddies are still there enjoying the food and the games and the wagering and everything else. And but I got up at 5:15, which is a little early for me. So when I got back here, I was 1 minute I was petting the dogs who were happy to see me, and the next minute I was waking up at 3:33 looking at my phone going, why do I have 4 calls and a text from Hunter Vaughn?
Yeah, that must have been a little bit confusing considering the timing of us being Madison only with Barquette playing on 94.5 ESPN with Homer, who will be on the Homer Hour from 5 to 6. So
what I would do for a 3 o'clock nap during the week.
Yeah, I'm not a napper guy. It was purely a, you're petting your dog and there are calming influences on you, and I was overtired, and I only slept for about a half hour, but it was enough to miss the show. So
good half
my
hour,
apologies.
Though? Like sometimes I wake up from a half hour and I feel
better.
tired.
Yeah, kind of a power nap type effect. I feel much better, actually.
I'm not going to lie. You got a lot of energy. I love the power nap, Jason.
Well, it's the 414
hour at 4
vibe that I got.
Yeah.
Hour at 4. Yeah, there you go.
From the 414.
Yeah.
Jason, some interesting stuff from you. Good to have the source of the audio that we've played from Jen, Gabe, and Chewy earlier this morning. It's not that, again, there's no strong, public indications, and you mentioned it in your clip that we played on from Jen, Gabe, and Chewy this morning about Matt LaFleur and Goody, but it's interesting for someone like Kyle to hear that Trey Hendrickson is somebody that people in the building of 1265 are intrigued about and would love to have. But ultimately, Goody's the decision maker. So we just, the silo system, it's just so, do you foresee any changes to the structure of the way the Green Bay Packers operate in terms of who reports to who when Ed Policy takes over for Mark Murphy?
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think it's going to change. And, again, the whole idea behind it was to eliminate silos. At least that's what Mark Murphy thought. And look, again, I'm very, this all kind of started with a conversation I had with Jim, Matt, and Molly earlier in the week. And I don't want people to misconstrue this as the coach and the GM don't get along. I think they just stay in their lanes. And so while they may listen, while he may listen to what Matt LaFleur thinks, I don't think it's going to necessarily significantly influence what Goody's going to do. And that was the only point I was trying to make. I don't think they're frenemies. I don't think that there's a lack of communication. But I just think ultimately, one guy's in charge of who plays and what plays are called, and the other guy's in charge of picking the personnel and deciding whether Trey Hendrickson is worth giving up a draft pick and money to get. And they may converse about that, but ultimately, like you just said, Goody makes the decision, and everybody knows that.
Hey, Jason, with that, is there anyone who has influence over Goody? Not like saying to make the decision, but everybody has that right-hand man or woman that they can talk to that can maybe kind of push them in a certain direction. Is there anyone inside of 1265 that is interested in Trey Hendrickson that can say, hey, Goody, maybe we should think about maybe taking a swing at this and actually have influence over that decision?
Well, we don't know that Goody's not interested in him, right? The report from Diana Rossini was that right now there are teams that are willing to pay Hendrickson's contract requirements, but that they find that the teams that have inquired about him have found the Bengals' asking price to be too high.
And what is that asking price?
I'm guessing it includes a first-round pick, and for a guy even as good as Trey Hendrickson has been, and we know he's
first pick.
That exactly. So if it was Max Crosby, maybe we're having a different conversation. But instead, this is a guy who's going to turn 31 during the season, and that's a lot to give up for a guy who. And again, remember too, while he was great the last 2 years, and I'm not saying that he's going to fall off because I am on board with the. If you're going to say there's a sense of urgency, then this is the kind of guy you have to try and acquire. Giving up that kind of draft compensation for a guy at his age, with the history of most guys that reach his age not being productive enough to justify it, I get it. I don't have. I hope it didn't come across as me criticizing Goody for not having made this trade yet. I don't think that's it. But Goody may like him at the price of a third-round pick. I don't know what, or maybe Goody doesn't like him at all. I don't know how you look at Trey Hendrickson, though, and unless you're just saying, I don't like him because he's going to be 31 next season. I don't know how you don't like what you see from the guy.
But,
yeah, he is. He is. Homer could never work for him because he's 3 times the age that Goody wants out there. But and look, in fairness to Goody too, because this is not in any way to bash him. It is a young man's game, and your roster should be overwhelmingly under 30-year-old guys. It's just my argument and my opinion, for whatever that may be worth, is that there's a couple of exceptions. You don't want a team full of exceptions, and you got to, half the roster has had its 30th birthday. But, I went into this offseason saying Davante Adams is a player that's worthy of the 30-something exception, and Trey Hendrickson is worthy of the 30-something exception. And if you're trying to win now and you're saying this team's ready to compete for championships, those are two guys that I personally believe could help get you there.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that, Jason, because I'm fascinated by the back and forth. It wasn't really a back and forth, but if I remember correctly, after the season, it was you who had the last question with Goody at his presser, and he talked about the phrase that keeps coming up, urgency and ready to win championships. But as I kept listening over and over this week, there's a lot of theys and thems in talking about the team and the players that are on the roster. Do you think he feels like he needs to move in a different sense of urgency to the players? Because to me, I'm just looking at it now as like based off the moves, so you can't get mad at solidifying an offensive line. But it feels as if let's work in the assumption that Trey Hendrickson does not end up with the Green Bay Packers. Is getting those Rasul Douglas-type players, those Devondre Campbell-type players, is that enough after being a 7 seed 2 years in a row? It just feels like he's not working in that same urgency that I think fans expected when hearing that, because when I listen to it again, I feel like he's talking more about the players on the team that he drafted and believes in still.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I would think that when you say something like that, what's the old saying, when you point the finger at someone, there's 4 more fingers pointing back at you. Like, I think he knows that, and the question is what exactly he believes urgency looks like, because he still wants to stick to his core principles and what he believes in, and that's not having older players. That's why the Cooper Kupp thing, I'm never going to say, I tease Homer all the time about how he loves to say something is either a 0% chance or a 100% chance. I don't operate that way, but I don't. What about Goody tells you that Cooper Kupp, with, according to reports, 12 teams interested in him? What is it about Goody's track record that would indicate to you that the Packers are even one of the 12 that are interested?
Nothing.
I could see Matt LaFleur, who coached Cooper Kupp back in 2017, having some interest, right? I can see, maybe you were talking about right-hand man types. He's got Milt Hendrickson in the personnel department. He's got John Eric Sullivan in the personnel department. He's got John Wojciechowski. Like, those are all his kind of high-ranking lieutenants whose opinions he trusts. But my gut tells me that all those guys are, in alignment philosophically about 30-something players. So, again, I don't know what Goody is willing to do to try and push this team over the top. Maybe it's at the trade deadline, right? Like, they've been sellers at the trade deadline and still made the playoffs each of the last 2 years. They got a 7th-round pick for Preston Smith this past season. In 2023, when Goody clearly didn't think they were a playoff team, he traded Rasul Douglas away. Contrary to the way they make it sound, he did not get a 3rd-round pick for Rasul Douglas. He sent Rasul Douglas and a 5th-round pick to Buffalo, and he got the 3rd-rounder back. So it's basically taking a 5th-rounder and adding the players so you can move up 60 spots into the 3rd round, which I'm not saying isn't valuable, but it's not the same as a straight-up trade. You have the same number of draft picks as you had before you traded Rasul Douglas. You didn't get a pick for him. So my point is that maybe he'll get to the trade deadline this year, and there'll be a player that he thinks, okay, we're sitting in early November at 7-3-ish, somewhere in there, and there's a guy that can help us, and that's where the urgency comes in. But no, if you want him to be one of these, like Les Snead in L.A. GMs who says F them picks and goes and uses them in trades.
Go win a Super Bowl.
If that's what you wanted him to do this offseason, if you wanted to see him pay monster contracts, because they have the cap space if they structure these deals correctly to add much more than they did even though it sure looks like they paid a very high price for Aaron Banks.
It does.
If that's what you're hoping for, then you are definitely disappointed. But I'm not every off-season or free agent signing period can yield Xavier McKinney and Josh Jacobs. Sometimes those guys just aren't there.
You know, Jason, speaking of FM picks, that's a great way to segue to Goody. Obviously, in the first round, he hasn't been great. He has a worse track record than he has a good track record with drafting guys in the first round. And what we had today on our poll today on ESPN Madison and ESPN Milwaukee and Beaver Dam is, who is Brian Gutekunst's worst first-round pick? Darnell Savage, Eric Stokes, Lucas Van Ness, or other?
Yeah, I think it's probably Stokes. And Darnell Savage is right there, too. I mean, look, getting Darnell Savage wrong, and he was the first safety drafted in that draft, but getting that pick wrong, meant eventually you had to sign Xavier McKinney. If he had been a really good player, right, you wouldn't have had to sign Xavier McKinney. And look, I am a big Xavier McKinney guy. I mean, he and I have a really good working relationship after the first year. He's a guy that I really respect and trust and find engaging. So I'm glad he's there. But, that's what free agency is for. If you draft well, you don't have to use much free agency. That was Ted Thompson's philosophy. So both those picks, I thought Eric Stokes had a really good back half of his rookie season. Then the injuries came in. But, he played all 17 games this year and had zero impact. I mean, the fact that he played over the last 3 seasons.
And his contract that he just received would show why he only got, $4 million?
Right. I mean, all 3 of the contracts that we saw over the last 2 days, his deal, Josh Myers' deal, A.J. Dillon's deal, they would all tell you that, the Packers didn't want them anymore because they certainly could have paid those small contracts, and B, that they've got a lot to prove because
these are first and second round picks, Jason.
Oh, don't take on Jason now.
No, but that's where I'm going, Kyle, is that it's not just the first round picks, right? I mean, there's some second round picks there, A.J. Dillon and Josh Myers, and look, every general manager has these. But Josh Myers was taken 1 pick before Creed Humphrey. Plays the same position. He's turned out to be an outstanding center. In the 19 draft, Goody takes Jace Sternberger, and with the very next pick, Terry McLaurin goes to Washington. And he's been a fantastic wide receiver. So Goody's not the only one to miss on picks and have a guy that goes immediately after he picked turn out to be a much better player than the guy he selected. That's why Ted Thompson used to say, every time you pick, there are good players. You just have to make sure you pick them. And a lot of times, your scouting is off. I mean, I go back to the T.J. Watt thing. I had multiple people tell me that the way they graded T.J. Watt, they were wrong clearly, but nevertheless, they have to trust their grading. And they did not have him as significantly better than Vince Beagle, his Badgers teammate. They could not have been more wrong in that evaluation. Vince Beagle is out of the league.
He was an animal, though, in college. He had that foot injury.
He was.
Right?
He had the great hair. He had a bunch of foot injuries.
Doesn't mean it
but
translates.
The bottom line is that T.J. Watt became a Defensive Player of the Year, an annual candidate for that award, and could end up in the Hall of Fame someday. And obviously Kevin King and Vince Beagle are nowhere near that.
Yeah, and Jason, another one like that you mentioned that is part of this equation we didn't go in depth on, but was part of the poll is, will we be doing the same thing about Lucas Van Ness? Because we already know in year 2, Will McDonald is part of that pick swap, 13 for 15.
Mm-hmm.
They drafted LVN, and Will McDonald had 10-plus sacks in his second year with the New York Jets. So we'll see. And we'll see what Goody does moving forward, but we appreciate the insight and appreciate you joining us for our first segment on 94.5 ESPN today after Marquette basketball.
Well, I appreciate you guys not being mad that I fell asleep and missed my segment.
I'm not, Jason, guess what? I'm not, because the Milwaukee office, half of them were watching the Marquette game anyway, so you were just doing the same thing but just taking a nap.
Thank you. All right, guys, take care. Be good.
That's Jason Wilde. Listen to Jason Wilde 9 to noon across ESPN Wisconsin.
It's good.
Every Monday through Friday. It was. I mean, again, he knows the building. He's been around. He's been doing this for a reason. He's been at Madison.com for however long and now writing for Channel 3000. And it's good to know that the building wants Trey Hendrickson. Whether Goody does something about it or not, we will find out. We wrap up Kyle, Brust, and Nortman before the Homer Hour next.
You're listening to Kyle, Brust, and Nortman, KBN.
It's the 414 Hour at 4 on KBN.
Wow. Just wow.
Has he sound good? We've been practicing.
I did it all last week. I gotta say, I'm pretty proud of my progress.
On ESPN Wisconsin and WisconsinOnDemand.com. All day, every day. The Carbless talk and text line is open for you.
First off, there is not one team that's on the fringe that scares me.
800-990-3776. The Carbless talk and text line. This is more.
If only life had a remote control, you could pause or rewind. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. Take the 1-minute risk test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
No shortcuts, no compromises, just the job done right. At Exterior Pros, we don't just meet expectations, we crush them. Every nail, every window, every shingle is a step toward your home's next chapter. From the moment we start until that final reveal, we're committed to making your home better than ever. Quality products and craftsmanship you can count on. Go to the pros for your next project. Get started today and save $2,000. Visit extpros.com or call 262-800-4274. That's 262-800-4274.
Are you ready to shake things up at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee? All you gotta do is toss your rewards card into your favorite slots for drawing entries and a chance to be in the Roll for Riches game show. What's on the table? Oh, just $300K in cash and prizes. Play this March, and Thursday nights, you could get on a winning streak that, frankly, you deserve. Let it ride and Roll for Riches. Only at Potawatomi. More info online. Must be 21 and a rewards member to play.
Junior Achievement of Wisconsin has had business technology from James Imaging Systems for several years. Lori Salzman, Vice President of Enterprise Services, explains why.
We started with the document imaging, and I have to say that the service and support has been fantastic.
James Imaging Systems, a 100% Wisconsin-owned and managed business technology company.
I've never met an organization that is so responsive to make sure that we are up and running all the time for us to be more efficient and allow us to focus more on the work that we do for helping young people.
Lori, what's your recommendation to others that aren't getting that kind of attention from their business technology company?
Please call James Imaging, because they will work with you to make sure that you find a solution that can make you more efficient and productive.
Make the call, 262-781-7700, or visit jamesimaging.com. James Imaging Systems, your local business technology partner.
At Citizens Bank, community banking is you, growing your business with a partner who gets it. It's you, buying your first home with a lender who makes it easy. It's you, building a future with savings that work just as hard as you. And it's us, working together to strengthen our community. Because at Citizens Bank, community banking means you plus us. Visit us at citizensbankwi.bank. Citizens Bank is member FDIC and an equal housing lender.
Wisconsin Indoor Golf Center is hosting another Scramble tournament with $1,000 in cash prizes available. Hey ESPN Milwaukee, this is Gary Ellison, and Wisconsin Indoor Golf Center invites you to play in a 2-man scramble at TPC Sawgrass, all from their comfortable golf simulators. Grab a friend and sign up today at WisconsinIndoorGolfCenter.com. The tournament costs $120 per pairing and is happening now through March 31st. Your winter chance to play TPC Sawgrass awaits. WisconsinIndoorGolfCenter.com.
Want to know where the snow is? Snow River Mountain Resort in Michigan's UP is buried in it. Over 125 inches of pure natural powder this season alone. Skip the airport hassle and head to the UP's only resort with high-speed lifts. We're talking deep snow, zero crowds, and a season that stretches well into April. Why fly south when winter's best-kept secret is right here in your backyard? Make this spring break legendary at Snow River Mountain Resort. Snow River Mountain Resort, where the snow stays longer and the lines move faster. Visit snowriver.com to book now.
This is Kyle, Brust, and Nortman on ESPN Wisconsin and WisconsinOnDemand.com.
Gruber Law Offices, Thanasis Live is back March 29th at Potawatomi Casino Hotel. Join Thanasis Antetokounmpo for a live show that is going to entertain fans like none other. Last year, Thanasis had, some guy named Giannis with a surprise appearance, as well from Stephen A. Smith joining him. You never know what he's got planned. So make sure you get your tickets for Thanasis Live coming up on March 29th.
Ooh, that's 2 weeks.
Presented by Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Carbless, featuring Brandon Jennings, a surprise guest. It is supported by Prisoner Wine Company and McDonald's. Ben Brust, Kyle Wallace, no Brad Nortman. UKBN Nation at 800-990-3776 on that Carbless Talk and text line. We got Chris Larson back there at the Gruber Law Offices One Call That's All Studios running the show. As we wrap up the day, Marquette gets a win. The Badgers get a win. The basketball time of the year where everyone in the office just takes off and doesn't work is crazy to me that on a Thursday quarterfinal game, everyone left the office to go watch Marquette play. I can make, look.
Big East tournament.
Excuse me. Yeah, I didn't even say that. Look, I'm fine. I'm all for. Look, I know people. Chris, you take PTO for Thursday and Friday, don't you?
I do indeed. Next week I'll be off Thursday, Friday to watch the first round of the games. I do it every single year.
No need to.
No, yeah, Chris, don't waste your PTO. Don't waste it, because guess what everyone's going to do? Not work.
Right. What happened to the good old days where you just had it on your computer screen while you worked? You multitask?
Look, again, I'm all for it. If you have the capability to go out with some people and develop business for the company, I'm all for it. But as I get slander, I'm being called slanderous from one of our sales teammates. Congrats to you.
I bet that sales teammate went to go watch the game.
But you know how he heard that? You know how fast he typed that to text me? He feels seen. He feels seen. You know why? Because when Marquette plays tomorrow, if it's any time in the workday, if it's like 3 o'clock, he'll be like, "Oh, I put in good days of work. I'm going to go out there and watch Marquette play in the semifinals of the Big East tournament, and I'm going to do the exact same thing when they play in the tournament."
I just wouldn't feel comfortable doing it. This is coming from a guy that worked at Marquette, and during that time, Marquette wasn't making the tournament very often. They made it a couple of times.
Yeah, that was when Ben Brust was really mean about them not making the tournament or winning a tournament game in 10 years.
But even with that, we would just have it on in the office. We wouldn't just drop everything and stop everything. Business continues. I tell you, just unfair actions in that office today. Get back to work.
5:30 tip for Marquette tomorrow.
Oh, so that's perfect for them, huh? So they get to work a full day.
Yeah, and we will too, from 2 to 5, leading into Marquette on 94.5 ESPN tomorrow.
We'll be
live. Oh, you're going to be very happy, Kyle.
Yeah.
The food at Potawatomi Casino Hotel is good.
I cannot wait. Like here today, Lucky 13 here.
Lucky's 13. We're currently in Madison right now.
And
you know where you're at?
Lucky's 13.
There you go.
You're going to know there's multiple Lucky's. I was thinking the Lucky's building initially.
No, that's not associated with
I'm like, we went to an apartment, huh? But no. But Lucky's 13 treated us.
You've never come here? Even people in Milwaukee must know that when you go to a Badger game day, it's a stop for the environment.
I have been here.
Not to better the environment, but to have a great environment.
It is packed. It is absolutely packed in here on game day and after the game as well. So, no, I've definitely been here before.
Ben Brust, Kyle Wallace, Chris Larson. It's been an interesting day as basketball has been all across the board. We talked to Jason Wilde at 4:30. We'll have a couple different shows for you to watch back on YouTube at ESPN Milwaukee and at ESPN Madison. You can always catch us as well wherever you get your podcasts, iTunes, Apple. So I guess that's the same thing. Spotify. No Brad Nortman today. He'll be back tomorrow, hopefully. For Ben Brust and Kyle Wallace and Jason, I might as well say for Ben Brust, Kyle Wallace, and Jason Wilde for this 414 hour.
For real, though. Thanks, Jason, for waking up for your nap to join us today.
It's been fun, and who knows? Jason said the building wants Trey Hendrickson, but whether Goody wants Trey Hendrickson or not, we'll find out.
He said what he said. The building. If the building was Goody, then it would be a little bit more rumblings. There's nothing.
Yeah, there ain't much. What's coming up next, though, is our guy Homer, hot off a Marquette win, with the future Packer Hall of Famer Brian Balaga. Don't go anywhere. The Homer Hour in 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere.
an accident on northbound 41 right at the Watertown Plank Road on-ramp, so careful with